Remember the last time you got back from a day at the beach? Remember how good you felt? That feeling of calm and you felt recharged? I've always said the beach was the best therapy I've ever had. Remember how you felt that evening too? You felt clear-headed and calm and you were in a great mood? And you probably slept better than you had in weeks. Most people credit the fresh air or just being relaxed, but there's more to it than that. Your brain had been running low on light, and that day in the sun, you gave it a huge dose. Here's what a lot of people miss. Your brain is about 2% of your total body weight, but it burns through roughly 20% of your energy. It's the most energy-hungry organ in your body. And the right wavelengths of light help your brain cells make that energy. And sunlight does this naturally. But what if you could do it whenever you wanted to, without needing a trip to the beach? Deliver the exact wavelengths that your brain uses to the exact spot on your head for the exact amount of time. That is what this video is about. It's about red light therapy for your brain. And the research behind it has gotten really hard to ignore. What you'll learn about red light therapy. Hi, I'm David Toman, author of Nootropics Expert and this YouTube channel. Red light therapy for your brain is clearly not a nootropic supplement. It's a nootropic technology. The technical name is photobiomodulation. You'll often see it shortened to PBM. When you apply red or near-infrared light to your head, it's called transcranial photobiomodulation, or TPBM. You may also see it referred to as low-level laser therapy, or LLLT. But don't worry about that jargon. I promise to keep this simple. Before we get going, please hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything, but it tells YouTube to show this video to other people who might need it too. Now stay with me, because there are 3 things in this video I promise you don't want to miss. First, there's one number on a red light spec sheet that instantly tells you whether a device is real or fake. And many people never check it, and they get ripped off. I'll show you exactly what to look for. And second, there's a short list of who should never use this without first talking to your doctor. If you're on that list, I want you to know before you invest in red light therapy. And third, I'm going to come all the way back to that beach reference and tell you exactly what happened in your brain that day and why a device can give you the same thing on demand. Great when you don't have time to get back to your favorite beach. I'll also answer the questions I get most in the comments at the end, so stick around. Red light therapy and the beach. I'm not going to make you wait. Let's answer the beach thing right now, or at least the first half of it. Inside almost every cell in your body, you have tiny power plants, and they're called mitochondria. Their job is to produce energy in the form of adenosine triphosphate, or ATP. It is the fuel, or energy, that your brain runs on. Your brain cells are packed with mitochondria because thinking takes a lot of energy. Every memory, every decision, every word that you pull off the tip of your tongue, it needs a lot of ATP. Now here's the part that connects to the beach. Inside your mitochondria, there's an enzyme called cytochrome C oxidase, and it absorbs red and near-infrared light. When that light hits it, your mitochondria work better. They make more ATP, and your brain cells get the energy that they need. So when you're on the beach and when you're in the sun, you get a lot of red and near-infrared light. It was reaching your skin, and yes, some of it even got into your head. Your mitochondria soaked it up. That clean, clear-headed feeling you got when you got back from the beach, a big part of it was your brain cells running with more ATP. That is the whole idea behind red light therapy for your brain. Take the part of sunlight that recharges your mitochondria and aim it at your head wherever you need it. Now let's go deeper into this idea because the how of this technology matters a lot. How red light works in your brain. I told you cytochrome C oxidase absorbs the light. Now here's what happens next. When your brain is under stress, a molecule called nitric oxide can block cytochrome C oxidase. Think of it like some jerk jammed gum in your lock. It slows down ATP production, and your mitochondria can't work the way they're designed to work. Red and near-infrared light photons appear to knock that nitric oxide loose. And once it's off, oxygen flows better and your mitochondria can breathe again. It's called mitochondrial respiration. And ATP production ramps up to its level that it's supposed to be. The result is more energy, better brain cell signaling, and a healthier response to oxidative stress. So the theory is simple. Your brain cells depend on your mitochondria. Near-infrared light affects mitochondrial enzymes. Better functioning mitochondria mean more brain cell energy, improved brain blood flow, a better mood, and improved cognition. But here is where people get into trouble. Red light therapy follows something called a biphasic dose response. That's a fancy way of saying that more is not better. A low to moderate dose stimulates brain repair and cellular energy, but too much light does nothing, or it can actually work against you. Now, if you've watched my channel for any length of time, you know that I'm always ranting on about this. More is never better. That is as true for red light as it is for CDP-choline or L-tyrosine. This is exactly why the quality of the device and how you use it matter more than you would expect. Red light versus near-infrared light. Now let's clear up the biggest point of confusion, because getting this wrong will cost you money and leave you with the wrong thing. Visible red light, or light that you can see, sits around 620 to 700 nanometers. Near-infrared light sits around 780 to 1100 nanometers. Near-infrared is invisible to your eyes, and it goes deeper into your brain. For your skin, red light is great for things like wounds, collagen formation, less inflammation, and faster recovery. But your brain is a different target. To help your brain, the light has to get through your hair, your scalp, and your skull and actually reach your cortex. And here's the fact that I want you to remember. To truly penetrate your hair, scalp, and skull and reach into your brain, you need 1064 or 1070 nanometers. Those two wavelengths sit at the deepest part of what researchers call the optical window, where your brain tissue and bone are at their most transparent to light. Now you'll see other wavelengths in the studies too. 810, 830, and 850 nanometers, they show up a lot. They do real work, and I'll cover those studies in a minute, but they don't go as deep. If your goal is getting light all the way into your brain, 1064 or 1070 is what you want. To truly penetrate your hair, your scalp, and skull and reach into your brain, you need 1064 to 1070 nanometers. Those two wavelengths sit at the deepest part of what researchers call the optical window, where your brain tissue and bone are the most transparent to light. Now you'll see other wavelengths in the studies too. 810 to 830 and 850 nanometers show up a lot. They do real work, and I'll cover those studies in a minute, but they don't go as deep. If your goal is getting light all the way into your brain, 1064 or 1070 nanometers is what you want. Red light around 633 or 660 nanometers can still help, but for your brain, only when it's combined with near-infrared and never on its own. This is also why a full-body red light panel is not a brain device. A panel is great for overall blood circulation, reducing inflammation, improving sleep, and faster recovery, but the red light panel is sitting 2 to 3 feet from your head. A helmet or a headset or a forehead device is designed to deliver light into your brain. They are very different tools. Now in a second, I'm going to show you what the research actually found for memory, mood, reaction time, and even brain injury recovery, traumatic brain injury. Even if you don't normally stick around for this kind of thing, I suggest you make an exception, because some of these results surprised even me. But first, a quick word from our sponsor who made this video possible. I just told you that 1064 or 1070 nanometers is what actually gets through your hair, scalp, and skull. The near-infrared light helmet I've been using for the last couple of months runs at 1070 nanometers. The helmet is made by Neuronic. Here is why I said yes to trying their infrared light helmet. They published their numbers. 1070 nanometers, 1725 milliwatts of power output, 670 square centimeters of coverage, which means it treats your whole head, not one spot on your forehead. And they have 3 completed human clinical trials on this helmet. Not on a similar wavelength in somebody else's study, but studies done using their actual device. You run this helmet from an app on your phone. They include 4 preset protocols, or you can design your own, as I did. What I noticed after using the Neuronic helmet for nearly 3 months, a good mood, more energy throughout the day, better concentration, and sleeping through the night. And one thing I did not expect, I had a spot that was going bald at the back top of my head. It's gone. They don't even advertise that one. The Neuronic helmet is HSA and FSA eligible. They ship free worldwide, and it comes with a 90-day money-back guarantee. So you can test it on yourself and send it back if it doesn't do anything for you. Go to neuronic.online and use the code Nootropics for $100 off. And thank you so much, Neuronic, for sponsoring today's episode. All right, welcome back. Now let's get into what clinical studies actually show about red light therapy. Red light therapy for mitochondrial energy and mental fatigue. You cannot think well without energy. Duh. Your neurons need ATP for brain cell signaling, neurotransmitter release, brain cell repair, and neuroplasticity. This is why mitochondrial dysfunction keeps showing up alongside things like brain fog and depression, neurodegeneration, and poor recovery after a concussion. Low energy in your brain shows up as slow and foggy thinking. In 2021, researchers at the University of Texas at Austin ran a randomized sham-controlled study with 68 healthy adults ages 18 to 85. Now, a quick note, because I'm going to use the word sham a few times today. Sham-controlled means one group got a real red light device and the other group got a fake one that looked and felt exactly the same, but delivered no real therapeutic light. Now, nobody knew which one they had. That's how you separate a true effect from the placebo of just sitting under a glowing light panel on your head. They used 1064 nanometer device on the right prefrontal cortex, which is on the front right of your brain, right behind your forehead. The real device increased ATP production in every age group. It also increased oxygenated hemoglobin, which means more oxygen was being carried to the brain. And here's the interesting part. The benefit was more pronounced the older the study participant was. So, energy and oxygen delivery increased. For a non-drug tool or a nootropic, that is a big deal. Red light therapy for cognition, memory, and reaction time. The best brain technology is one you can feel and one you can measure and one that's safe to use every day for the long haul. Research on red light therapy in humans is still in its early stages, but it is no longer just speculation. It is real. In 2019, a meta-analysis published in Photobiomodulation, Photomedicine, and Laser Surgery reviewed all the studies and concluded that transcranial photobiomodulation improved cognitive performance in young, healthy adults. And then go back to 2013, and in the journal Neuroscience, you can find one of the studies that started it all. Researchers used near-infrared light in healthy adults and observed improvements in attention, memory, and mood compared with placebo. And a 2019 study published in Lasers in Medical Science used 850 nanometer light over the right prefrontal cortex, that's right here, in healthy young adults. It showed a significant improvement in reaction time. Now think about that for a minute. Instead of adding another capsule to your nootropic stack, you're aiming a red light at your forehead and getting faster reaction time, better working memory, faster decision making, and a better mood. That is why I find this so fascinating as a nootropic device. Red light therapy for depression. 322 million people around the world live with depression. That's about 4.4% of this planet, and it is the single biggest cause of disability that we have worldwide. Now here's something that most people don't realize. Depression is not only about low serotonin. Brain energy, inflammation, oxidative stress, brain blood flow, neuroplasticity, and mitochondrial function all affect your mood. And those are exactly the things that red light affects. In 2018, Harvard Medical School and the Massachusetts General Hospital used a near-infrared device on patients with major depression. The study authors concluded that it significantly reduced depression and that it was a strong option for people who couldn't tolerate antidepressant medication. Now, I want to be honest with you, because that's the whole point of this channel. A 2023 meta-analysis on red light therapy for depression found only weak support. But dig a little deeper. The authors said most of those trials were either too short or they used a device without enough power. In plain English, the red light never actually got into the people's brains in the studies. And that lines up with another Harvard clinical study from 2019. Patients used an 830 nanometer device at home for 20 minutes a day for 8 weeks. That study concluded that near-infrared light significantly reduced depression and called it a promising therapy for major depression. So here's your takeaway. The device and the protocol decide everything. A weak red light device or a lazy protocol does nothing. The right power, a red light device used long enough, and then the results begin to show up. Red light therapy for anxiety and stress. In 2019, a small clinical study recruited 15 patients with anxiety for an at-home clinical trial. They used a near-infrared headband at 830 nanometers, 20 minutes a day for 8 weeks. The patients reported a significant reduction in anxiety, and the authors called near-infrared light a promising alternative for generalized anxiety disorder. Now, it was a small study, but it fits the pattern. Better mitochondrial function, better regulation in the prefrontal cortex, reduced inflammation, and better sleep all contribute to lower anxiety. And a short daily red light session affects all of them. Red light therapy for traumatic brain injury and concussion. Now, this is one of the strongest areas of interest because traumatic brain injury usually involves everything all at once. Mitochondrial dysfunction, inflammation, poor brain blood flow, disrupted sleep, mood changes, and trouble thinking. Several universities in the U.S. Southwest ran a study on veterans. 12 military vets with chronic traumatic brain injury used pulsed red and near-infrared light from pads with 220 infrared and 180 red LEDs, 3 times a week for 20 minutes over 6 weeks. A SPECT brain scan showed a significant increase in cerebral blood flow in 8 of the 12 veterans. The researchers said that the LEDs showed the real promise for improving cognitive function and brain blood flow even years after the head injury. And then in 2024, a meta-analysis published in the Frontiers in Psychology reviewed 131 articles and 6 clinical studies. They concluded that red light therapy increased gray matter volume, improved brain blood flow and connectivity, and increased cerebral oxygen delivery, all of which improved brain function. The authors called the findings encouraging and worth further investigation, and I agree with that analysis. Red light therapy for dementia and Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's and dementia involve disrupted energy metabolism, oxidative stress, brain inflammation, reduced brain blood flow, amyloid and tau buildup, and lost connections between brain cells. Red light is being studied here because it affects several of those pathways at the same time. A 2021 study published in a journal called Aging and Disease reported that transcranial near-infrared light improved cognition in patients with dementia. Caregivers reported improved sleep, mood, energy, and daily routine after the treatment. In a 2026 study at the University of Johannesburg called red light a promising but still experimental approach for Alzheimer's and other brain disorders. Now let me be crystal clear. This is not a cure for dementia, but it is one of the more interesting non-drug approaches because it targets brain energy, brain blood circulation, inflammation, and neural function altogether. If I or one of my parents were dealing with dementia or Parkinson's, you bet that I would be adding red light therapy to the Nootropics stack that they were using. You'd be crazy not to. Red light therapy for Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's research is still mostly animal studies, reviews, and case reports, with a few human studies. The theory is that red light may support dopamine neurons, improve mitochondrial function, lower oxidative stress, and reduce neuroinflammation. A 2024 review described red and near-infrared light for Parkinson's as promising, non-invasive, and affordable, while making clear the field still needs proper standardized clinical trials. So treat Parkinson's as an emerging research area, not a proven claim. Any company that says its device treats Parkinson's should be able to show you in human clinical studies and not just hearsay. Does red light actually reach the brain? Now for the honest question, can red light really get through your hair, scalp, and skull? The answer is yes, some of it can. But I want you to hold two ideas at once. And I know, but you can do this, promise. Near infrared penetrates better than red light. And remember what I said earlier, 1064 and 1070 nanometers are the wavelengths that actually get down into your brain. But hair blocks red light and bone scatters it. So the amount of red light sitting on your scalp is not the amount reaching your cortex, not all of it anyway. And this is why you should be skeptical of any ad that says the red light panel heals your brain. It may help brain inflammation and your sleep, but sitting across the room from a panel is not the same thing as red light getting into your brain. When you shop, make sure that you look for a device built for transcranial use, with the wavelength clearly stated, the power level listed, the treatment time spelled out in the instructions, and proof that it's been tested, especially for safety. How to choose a red light device, the specs. When I look at a brain red light device, I care about specifications, not just the marketing or what they say in their ads. Your skull is a thick physical barrier. It reflects, absorbs, and scatters light. And there are two numbers you need to look for. The first is irradiance. That's the intensity of the light measured in milliwatts per square centimeter. It drops off quickly with distance, which matters a lot when you're standing in front of a panel. The second is fluence. That's the total dose, or the power combined with how long you use it. Here's the formula, and it's simple. Fluence in joules per square centimeter equals irradiance in milliwatts per square centimeter times the session duration in seconds divided by 1,000. Now let me explain this in plain English. Say a device puts out 50 milliwatts per square centimeter, and you use it for 400 seconds. That's 50 times 400 divided by 1,000. And you get 20 joules per square centimeter at the surface of your skin. That's your red light dose. So why does this even matter? Because if you don't know irradiance and fluence, you have no idea whether you're getting a real red light dose or nothing at all. And that leads me straight into the first thing I promised you at the start of this video. Beware of fake red light power scams. Here it is, the one number that exposes a fake device. A lot of brands inflate their irradiance numbers. You'll see them claim 100 or more milliwatts per square centimeter, and it sounds impressive. The problem is how they measure it. Many of them use a cheap solar power meter. These meters overestimate LED power by 2 or 3 times the real amount. Now think about what that does to your math. If you plug that fake inflated number into the fluence formula, you'll think that you're getting a full dose of red light when in reality, your brain is getting a fraction of it. And you end up underdosing yourself and you don't feel a thing. And then you dismiss red light therapy when you really blame the wrong thing. It was a fake number all along. So here is how to spot a genuine marketing claim. Go to the company's website or the red light user manual and look for a downloadable PDF report from a third-party testing lab. You want to see the power level claimed and that it is measured with a spectroradiometer or an integrating sphere. These are the gold standard tools for measuring true optical power. And if they can't provide a third-party lab report, their numbers are either guessed or they're faked. And if they hide the numbers completely, don't buy it. Keep looking until you find the real thing. That one tip will save you a lot of money. Red light therapy and how to use it. Now, here are a few more terms that you'll run into when shopping for a red light therapy device. Targeting is where the red light goes, including a device placed on your forehead, a full head helmet, an intranasal unit placed in your nose, or a combination. The company should explain it clearly. Heat control is critical because the device has to manage heat safely so it doesn't burn your skin. Eye safety. Near infrared light is invisible, which is exactly why it's dangerous. You cannot see the light, but it can still burn your eyes if the device is poorly designed or you skip the eye protection. Follow the manufacturer's instructions every time you use the device. Clinical support. See if the company has a human study on the actual device that you're buying. Similar wavelengths in other studies are useful, but they're not the same thing. And make sure that the protocol is realistic. A device that you can actually use is better than a fancy, expensive one that sits in a drawer because it's a hassle to use. Now, how do you use a red light therapy device? There is no one single protocol for every device and every person, so follow the manufacturer's instructions. Start at the lowest setting and use short sessions if red light therapy is new to you. For the first 2 to 4 weeks, use it exactly as the manufacturer says. And keep notes so that you can track your sleep, your mood, brain fog, memory, reaction time, and any headaches. Do not add extra time just because more sounds better. You already know my rule. More is never better. Never shine near infrared into your eyes unless the device is specifically built and tested for it. And stop using the device if you get headaches, agitation, eye discomfort, sleep disruption, or skin irritation. And if evening sessions mess with your sleep, move them to earlier in the day. Who should avoid using red light therapy? This is the second thing that I promised you. These are the people who should not just dive into and start using this new technology. Red and near-infrared light is well tolerated in most published clinical studies of the brain. But well tolerated does not mean that it's completely risk-free. Talk to your doctor first if you've got epilepsy, you're dealing with cancer, you have a history of mania, a recent brain injury or concussion, an implanted electronic device, eye disease, photosensitivity, or if you take any medication that increases light sensitivity. And if you're pregnant, check with your doctor before using a red light therapy device. And do not aim the red light device over your thyroid, your eyes, active tumors, or damaged skin unless the instructions in your doctor say that it's okay. And do not stack multiple devices and don't pile on extra session time. Follow the directions. Red light versus sunlight, closing the beach loop. Now let's finish the beach story I started with. Sunlight is still the original full-spectrum red light therapy. It helps synthesize vitamin D, it sets your circadian rhythm, it lifts your mood, and it affects nitric oxide signaling. A red light device does not replace the sun. It's best to go outside and get your early morning sunlight. But here is the one thing that a device can do that the sun cannot. The sun can't deliver a controlled wavelength to one specific spot on your head for a set amount of time. And that is the difference. The beach gave your brain a scattered, natural dose of good UVB light. A well-built red light device gives your brain a precise, repeatable dose wherever you want it. And that's why this belongs in the brain nootropic technology category and not the sunshine replacement category. Nootropics expert recommendations for red light therapy. So where do I stand on all this red light therapy stuff? Red light therapy for your brain is one of the more credible non-drug brain technologies out there. The mechanism or the way it works makes sense, and the human clinical studies are very promising. Red light therapy targets brain cell energy production, brain blood flow, neuroinflammation, and neuroplasticity. Those are the core pathways affecting your memory, your mood, mental energy, and brain repair. It's still early days, but right now, the science is actually ahead of a lot of the marketing. But you should be aware that a company can slap clinically backed on the red light device box and have 0 clinical trials on its own product. If they can't show you clinical trials for their specific device, then I recommend walking away and choose another red light device. I put brain red light therapy in the same category as neurofeedback, binaural beats, TDCS, and sleep technology. It is useful when the device is well designed and the protocol for that device is simple, but it will not cure everything, no matter what anyone claims. The best use case is this. You want support for mental energy and a better mood, sleep, focus, or recovery, and you're willing to track your results. That is a great fit, but don't buy a cheap red lamp pointed at your head and expect it to reverse a serious brain problem. Choose a red light and near-infrared light device the same way that you would choose a nootropic. Demand transparency. Check their research. Start at a low setting and track your results. And avoid any company making disease treatment claims without human clinical trials to back those claims. Red light therapy FAQs. Okay, let's get to the questions I get most in the comments. What is the best red light wavelength for the brain? To get light all the way through your hair, scalp, and skull, you need a device that emits 1064 or 1070 or 1064 or 1070 nanometers. Other near-infrared wavelengths like 810, 830, and 850 appear in the studies, and they do real work, but they don't provide the same deep benefits as those wavelengths. Red light at 633 or 660 nanometers only helps your brain when combined with near-infrared light. Can red light or infrared light really penetrate the skull? Some of it can, but only a small amount reaches your cortex. Hair, skull thickness, red light wavelength, power, the way it contacts your skin, and session timing all determine how much gets through. Is a full body red light panel enough? For whole body blood circulation, inflammation, sleep, and faster recovery, it could help. But if you want the light to reach your brain, use a device built for transcranial use. That could be a red light helmet, headset, an intranasal unit, or a targeted forehead device. How long until I feel the benefits? Some people notice a better mood, deeper sleep, or improved mental energy within a few days. But most clinical protocols run several times a week for 4 to 12 weeks. Track your sleep, mood, brain fog, focus, memory, and headaches for 2 to 4 weeks before deciding whether to continue using the device. Now, if you want help applying any of this to your unique situation, labs, or medications, I offer consultations. You send me your current supplement stack, your medication list, and what you're trying to fix. I will tell you specifically what I think is missing and exactly what I suggest that you do differently. I've worked with well over 2,000 people worldwide. Most of them felt exactly the way you feel right now, like they had tried everything and nothing worked. You don't have to keep doing this alone. Scan the QR code that you see on your screen for a link to my calendar. You'll also find a link to my calendar in the description below or beside this video. We also have the Nootropics Expert membership area on this channel. I encourage you to join our membership. One of your perks is that you'll get videos that I do for members only as often as I can, and I try to do that every week. And if you join the Neurohacker Tier 2 membership, that's the highest tier, you can get your nootropic stack reviewed by me and for free, just for joining our membership. You send me your stack before the end of the month, I'll take a look at it, and I will make a video review of your stack and post it for the other members. So please join our other members, support each other, and talk to me directly. Scan the QR code or visit the link below this video to learn more or join the membership. Now, if you found this video helpful, please share it with someone you know who is dealing with the same thing that you are, because his doctor won't tell him about this, and you know that, but you can. One way or another, we're going to leave you feeling better soon, so stick with me. And go watch my video called The FDA-Approved Headset Stopped My Insomnia Cold next. My name is David Toman, and this is my channel. I'll see you soon.